Hey guys, Mike here, the Detroit Borg, and today we're checking out the full release of iOS 10 on the iPhone and the iPad. So this is arriving this Tuesday if you haven't got it already, and this will explore some of the major and minor new features in iOS 10 on both the iPhone and the iPad. Now this is coming to all the devices you see on your screen right now, which excludes some older devices like the iPhone 4S, the iPod Touch 5th generation, the iPad Mini 1st generation, and the iPad 2nd and 3rd generation. So iOS 10 has a few features that are not available on all iOS devices, such as Raise to Wake. This is a great feature available for the 6S or newer. So basically, if you pick up your phone, it wakes up the lock screen to show you your notifications. This is one way of bypassing the lightning fast fingerprint sensor on those devices. Of course, this is smart enough to know not to turn on in all situations. So for example, it won't turn on in your bag or something like that. And it also works great when you pick up your phone out of your pocket. So it lights up your screen all without touching any of the buttons. Now, when it comes to using this lock screen, there's a few significant changes here. So for example, we no longer have slide to unlock. So when you slide to the right, you get to your widget panel, which is kind of nice. But if you slide to the left, you get to your camera app, which again allows you to quickly access the camera app instead of swiping up on that icon, which I like a lot better here. But what you won't find here is that if I touch my finger to the fingerprint sensor, you can see it unlocks the device, but I actually have to hit the home button or press the home button to directly open up the device. So that's a change here. Now getting to that lock screen, if you swipe to the right, you get to these widgets. So you can see your date and time up top and all these widgets down below, and these are much more powerful than they were before. So I can expand them out to show more information, or if it's my news here, I can expand those out as well, show less or show more. Now, one of my favorite widgets here is actually the Maps widget, which basically tells me where my car was last parked. So it's smart enough to know when I'm in motion and when I last parked it. Now, speaking of the lock screen, we also get a new lock sound effect. So if you lock the device, you can hear something completely different. So let's listen to that a few times. Incidentally, if your phone has a taptic engine, if you mute the device, you actually get taptic feedback instead of just a vibration tone. iOS 10 also comes with new keyboard sounds, which have different tones depending on which key you're striking. So let's take a listen. They've also made some significant changes to the home screen. So once again, we can swipe down to get to search, which is not new. But if you swipe to our notifications, you can see that that widget panel up top is now gone, but you also have search up top. Now, if you swipe to the right, you get to all of your widgets. So that's one way to access them. You can still access them from the notification shade, but you just have to swipe right to get to them. So you have an extra step here. Now, if you're on the home screen, you can also swipe to the right, all the way to the right, and you get to your widget panel as well, which is identical on the lock screen. And of course, you can go down here to edit them. Now, if you're on the home screen, you can also swipe all the way to the right to get to your widget panel as well, just like you can on the lock screen. Now, speaking of our notifications, we can also 3D touch on them to expand them out, and then we can respond to them without actually opening the app, which is very handy. Another welcome change is a clear all function under notifications. So if I 3D touch on the clear button, this will clear all notifications, not just notifications from the current day. They've also spruced up the control center. So we now have 3 pages to swipe through. So we have the main control center, which has some updated iconography and text, and we also have some 3D touch features. So for example, if I 3D touch on the flashlight, I have different intensities I can pick from. I have different timers I can set. I can also copy my last results from my calculator, and I have different actions I can take on the camera app. Swiping over, we get to our media controls. So whatever music is currently playing in the background from whatever app, this is where you can control it. I can also output to different AirPlay devices just by bringing up this drop down. Swiping over again, I get to this HomeKit interface. So this allows me to see my HomeKit devices depending on what I have on my network. So right now that's just light bulbs, but if you had other devices like thermostats or garage door openers or doorbells, anything that can interface with the HomeKit API, you'll see those devices here. So you don't necessarily have to open up those individual apps. They're available right from the system interface. Now, all of this is a widget for the HomeKit app, which is now installed with iOS 10. So again, this allows you to control all the devices on your HomeKit network. So right now, again, this is just light bulbs, but if you saw your thermostat, your garage door opener, your cameras or whatever, you'd see them all here. So I can see my different scenes in the case of my lighting. I can see all the accessories down below, which I can quickly turn on and off. And then we have automation, which is controlled via the Apple TV as a secure network hub for all your devices within your home. The iPad also sees similar design changes on the lock screen. So in this case, in landscape mode, the clock shifts over to the left, and when you swipe to the right, you get to your widget panel, which is a dual column. And you can go to edit and modify the individual columns here. So we just have to authenticate, and you can see we have our left and right columns, which we can customize. Same story on the home screen. Swipe to the right to get to your widget panel. If you swipe to your notifications, swipe to your notifications. And swipe to the right, you get to your widget panel as well, which also includes the weather widget. Also on the home screen, if you swipe down, you get to your search. If you swipe up, you get to your control center, which is designed specifically for the iPad. So you get a little more information and more toggles. And you can see a preview of the next tile right next to it, which you can swipe to. So at least you know that they're there. The iPad camera has also been redesigned, so we now get this zoom controller on the left side, and all of the controls on the right side have been consolidated so they're easier to access and swipe through. 3D Touch has also been enhanced to other areas of the device. So for example, if we 3D touch on the folders, you can see a breakdown of all of our apps and their notifications. Quick actions with 3D Touch have also been enhanced here. So if I 3D touch on the Photos app, you can see some of the galleries from the Photos app. This also works with music. So if I 3D touch music, you can see some of the albums. Also works with contacts. So I have quick access to my favorite contacts up top. Now if you go to the music app here, we have the option to add a widget. So this will actually add a widget to our widget page. So if we swipe to our widget page now, you can see we have a music widget right down below. iOS 10 also allows us to finally hide those unwanted apps, system apps, apps you couldn't delete before. So for example, you can see all the Apple apps I can now delete or hide. You're not really deleting them, you're just hiding them because they need to stay in the system just in case they're needed for other actions. They've also tweaked some of the system UI animations. So for example, when you open up the folders, the background no longer zooms in and out, and you can see that things are quite speedy. In fact, I can open up things and interrupt them pretty quickly. Now, one of the most important new features with iOS 10 is the all-new messaging app, which gains a ton of new features. Now, for example, I can go ahead and start typing in the message, and I can hit this arrow to send it off. But if I tap and hold on it, or 3D touch it in my case, I can actually animate those message bubbles. So for example, I can choose invisible ink. So this will blot out the message, and in order for the other user to see it, they'll actually have to touch it. And of course, this only works if the other user also has iOS 10 on their device. We also have gentle, so this sort of gives this gentle effect with the message bubble. Loud, same effect except louder, and then slam. Slam is kind of fun here, so if I send this off, this will actually vibrate the entire message thread. But of course, there is even more than that, so let's go ahead and go back to full screen effects. So we can apply full screen effects such as these balloons. We also have our confetti, lasers, fireworks, and then a shooting star. So if I go ahead and send this off, you can see the entire background animates for that user. There's a few other tricks here. So for example, if I paste a hyperlink into a message and send this off, this will actually expand out into this little preview view right within the message. So for example, I can also 3D touch on it to expand out the article, so it will load the article so I can read it briefly and then let it go to dismiss it. Another neat feature within the messaging app is Emojify. So for example, I've typed this nonsense message here, and if I go to the emoji keyboard, you can see it begins highlighting the words that have corresponding emojis. So for example, if I tap on this, you can see I can add a spaceship, moon, and if there's multiple moons I can pick from, I can go ahead and select them. Bus, same story, different bus styles, cars, different car styles, puppies, baby, and child, and of course there's many more options. Alternatively, if I start typing in the word, it suggests the appropriate emoji here, so I can send this off. Now, if you send just an emoji, you can see that it's 3 times larger than the standard emoji. But if I add words to this, you can see bus and car, and if I go to Emojify, I can go ahead and select those different emojis here to fill it out, send it off. You can see the emojis are standard size. Alternatively, if I rotate the device to landscape mode, you can see I get this handwriting keyboard, so I can now handwrite a message in, click done, and send this off, and as you can see, if I jump to that message, this will animate the message in real time. Now, these same features are available on the iPad, including the handwriting keyboard you just activated by going back and forth with this key right here. Now, if we tap on this arrow on the left side, we get a toolbox full of features, including our camera app. So this allows us to access our photo gallery to the right and a live feed of our camera right here. So we can quickly snap a photograph or switch between the front and rear facing camera to do so. So if we want to send off a photograph, just send it right away. You didn't have to leave the app to do so. Very convenient. We also have a lot of digital touch features, which is something we've seen with the Apple Watch, but it's now coming to iOS. So we have this mini view, or if you want, we can go to a full screen view. So with a full screen view, we can go ahead and draw on the screen and just tap these colors to change it up here. And we can go ahead and send this off. And as it sends off, you can see the receiver actually receives it in real time as you drew it. Some other tricks to know about here is if you tap and hold on these colors, you can also get our color wheel to more specifically dial in the color you want. We also get a camera interface. So if you want to snap a photograph or record a video, all you have to do is hit record here. And you can drag and drop and animate on the screen as it's recording video. You can see you have 7 seconds. So tap and hold for a starburst, tap and hold for a heartbeat or something like that. and that will send it off with your message. You can hear me talking right now. So of course that will take more time to send off, but you can see that again, if they want to listen to this, all they have to do is tap the audio icon in the upper right, and they'll see the animations as well as they happen. Now in terms of these digital touch features, just tap on them and it'll explain exactly what they are and how to do them. So for example, we can use our starburst just by tapping and holding on the screen, and it sends that off. We can also tap on the screen in any area and it will also send off that animation. If you want to send kisses, just tap the screen with 2 fingers, and as you rotate your fingers, you can see the kisses rotate as well. And then you also have your heartbreak animation, so just tap and hold by swiping down. Also new with messaging is apps. So apps can actually plug into the messaging app and add their own content. And right now you can see I'm in the recent area, so basically these are recent items, but you can also swipe between others. So for example, my music, my images, so I can see some GIFs which I can add to my message if I want, and there's quite a bit more. And if you want to get to all the apps that are available, just tap on that icon in the lower left corner, and you can see all the apps that are currently installed. So right now it's just 3 of them: Recents, Music, and Images. So if I go to Music, this just shows me music I've recently listened to, and if I want to share that track with whoever is messaging, I can go ahead and send this off, and it will play for them using the Apple Music service. But of course there's more going on here as well, and we can go to an app store to get yet more apps. But right now there's not a whole lot of them. So if we go here, go to the store, you can see they're just Apple apps right now, but you can imagine third-party apps will be available soon. So I can go ahead and add this specific app, download it from the App Store, and it will install within the messaging app. So if I go to the app now, you can see I have hearts. So if I want to send different heart animations, I can go ahead and send it off right from this app. And if I go back to this item here, I can just tap and hold on them and I can edit them. So if I want to remove any one of these, just tap the X and it uninstalls them. We also get a new feature called Tap Back. So if I double tap on the previous message I've received, I can actually act upon it. So for example, I can thumbs this up and the sender will actually get this as a response. Now easily, one of my favorite new features with Safari and iOS 10 is the ability to close all tabs. You just tap and hold on the tabs button and you can choose close all tabs or open up a new tab. So if I close all those tabs, they're gone. But there's a lot more features when it comes to Safari on the iPad, and that includes split view. So right now I have these 2 tabs open, and if I want to create a split view, just tap and hold on one of these tabs and drag it. So I can drag it to the left or right side, and it opens up both tabs side by side. So I now have 2 windows I can navigate through with their own controls down here. So that means I can open up additional tabs on each side or just close them all out. So that means I really have 2 distinct interfaces for each Safari window. This also means I can activate private mode for one side but not the other. Now if I want to merge all these tabs into one window, just tap and hold on the tab view, click merge all tabs, and they become one. Alternatively, if you tap and hold on the link, you get the option to open this up in split view. So this will open up a separate tab in split view. And again, you can drag and drop to the next window to merge them together or just exit it out. Alternatively, you can also just tap and hold on the tabs icon to open up a split view. And from this window, you can pick one of your favorites or input an address. And if you have a hardware keyboard attached, just Command N to open up split view. Now split view only works in landscape orientation, so when you rotate the portrait, all those tabs merge together up top. The Notes app has also been updated with collaboration. So if I open up an individual note, you can see this icon in the upper right corner, which indicates that I can add additional users to access and contribute to the document. So basically this generates an iCloud link, which the other user can then open. And in this case, I just need to share that link via a variety of apps, which I can choose from down below. So if I just want to send a message off to that user, I can. So it generates the link and I can go ahead and send it off. So once the document is shared, you'll see a check mark indicating that that document is currently being shared by others. And you'll see that as well indicated on the list of documents. Also new within the Notes app is 3D Touch to quickly look at your documents. Now if you look closely at the clock icon, you can see the second hand is now orange instead of red, and that's because we have this new orange and black interface. We also have a new feature here called Bedtime Mode, which is designed to encourage healthy sleep patterns. So basically you can schedule your sleep and wake time, and the device reminds you when it's time to go to bed. And once you get a reminder, you agree to the fact that you're actually going to sleep, and this helps you to keep track of your sleep pattern. And of course I can edit this. I can either just move this around to maintain 8 hours of sleep, or I can change the endpoints. Under options, you can schedule this for certain times of the week, so if you want to omit the weekend, you can do that. You can also change the wake-up sounds. You have a huge variety of wake-up sounds you can pick from, which are designed to be more gentle. Now they're quiet at first, and then they slowly get louder to wake you up. You can also select the bedtime reminder for 15 minutes all the way up to 1 hour before. The Photos app also picks up quite a few new tricks that are worth talking about. So for example, if I open up a photograph, that's pretty standard stuff. But if I swipe up now, you can see down below we have a related gallery. So we have all these albums generated by the app itself that are related to this photo in some way, either by its location or by its time or by its content. And if I open up one of these albums, I can see the photographs in the album, and we'll get a little slideshow up top as well. We also get this new memory section. So these are all albums generated by the system and categorized automatically depending on its content, location, or whatever. So I can scroll through these and I can see lots of them. So for example, if I click Troy 2015, these are all photographs I took in Troy in 2015. So some at the Apple Store, some at my dealership, and that sort of thing. So again, it's just a handy way of sort of aggregating all your photographs into easy to manage albums. Now, if we go to albums, this is mostly familiar, so you can see the breakdown is pretty similar to the previous version of iOS, but it's handled differently. So if we go to the People album, this is actually generated by the system. So the app is actually scanning our library for faces and will automatically aggregate them together into separate albums, which you can then name. Now, unfortunately, it's still scanning for them, so it's taking quite a while, but you can see the faces that they've plucked out of here. So you can see 74 photographs of me alone have been found within my albums. And I can go ahead and drag my favorites up here so they're always at the top. Now, easily one of the most significant changes to this Photos app is enhanced search. So this can search for faces or things, not just names of items. So for example, if I search for cars, this will actually search by category, albums, or the names of the photographs. So category is basically telling me that it's actually searching photographs for cars in them, not just because the photographs are named cars. So very similar to Google Photos, it's smart enough to know what objects are within those photographs, so it's constantly scanning your library for these items. Or I can also search for dogs. So again, category, dogs, I can select this, and of course you can see all the dogs in my life. The Music app has also been completely redesigned, and I think it's a much more user-friendly and understandable interface for quickly accessing your favorite content. So for example, under Library, pretty basic breakdown. You have a clear list of your major categories for playlists, artists, albums, songs, and downloaded music. You can also go up to Edit to add additional categories or just rearrange them if you want. And down below this, you have all of your recently added content for easy access. We also have For You, so this is all the music suggested by Apple Music based on what you listen to or what you like. We also have Browse, so you can take a look at the Apple Store for curated playlists or recently added content. Under Radio, you have all your radio stations. Again, very clearly lined up here, so you can swipe across the screen to see additional radio stations, or you can go to Beats One or just view all the available stations here as well. This also allows me to take a look at the new player. So the player has a lot of new features here. So again, you just expand this by swiping up or swiping down. So the player has things, for example, like AirPlay, so I can broadcast the media to other devices on my network. We also can add this to our queue. So this will add it to our library. So this will download to our library and stay there as downloaded music. We can also see the lyrics for this song, which is very nice. You can see the complete lyrics for the song. Now, not all songs get this, so I actually have to dig around until I can find a song with lyrics. But for example, a lot of songs on the radio stations will get this. But we have a lot of other features in here, such as download. We can delete this, add it to our playlist, create a station, share the song with our social feeds, share the station, or you can see the lyrics again, or you can love or dislike this song. So if you love this song, this will inform your For You tab, so you'll hear more music like this. Of course, we also have search. So for example, if I just search Star Trek here, I can search for your library or Apple Music. So you have two ways of searching. So if I just search my library, Star Trek, I'm probably going to find quite a bit here. Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And of course, there's many other things down below it. And if you take a look at your recent searches, you can see that they're all up here, or you can see trending searches as well. The Maps app has also been updated with many useful features, such as the weather information in the lower right corner for that specific location. And if I have a destination, I have a few new features here. So for example, I can go ahead and explore my route and see some of the traffic scenarios I might run into. Even more useful is that you can now search for locations along your route. So for example, if you need to stop for gas along your route, this will actually suggest some of those gas stations nearby. The Health app has also been completely redesigned with a much more user-friendly interface, and we have these 4 quadrants for major features such as activity, mindfulness, sleep, and nutrition. And if you want to know exactly what these are, just click on them and you get these little videos up top which will explain how to use this feature.
A good night's sleep is important.
The Mail app also picks up some new tweaks such as an unread filter in the lower left corner, so this allows you to quickly look at only your unread emails. Another new trick with Mail in iOS 10 is the option to unsubscribe to mailing lists. So you actually get this little icon up here just above your mail if it's from a mailing list, and you can click unsubscribe if you want. So one of the great new features with iOS 10 is the new Multilingual Keyboard. So if I have several keyboards installed, I can actually type in multiple languages as long as those keyboards are present. So for example, I have English and German, and normally I'd have to switch between them if I want to type in one language or the other. So for example, if I want to say Wie alt bist du, this will actually suggest the right one. So Wie alt Bist du. That means it's smart enough to know whether I'm typing in English and German and won't interfere with each other. This is especially useful if I want to autocomplete with some characters I don't have on the English keyboard, like an S set for Grüße. The Contacts app has also been spruced up here, so we have these badges for messaging or calling them, email or whatever. We also have a map link to the address if it's indicated. Another new feature with iOS 10 is a continuity clipboard, so I can actually copy text or items on one device and paste it on another, assuming both devices are logged into my iCloud account. So I can go ahead and copy this, and now if I go to this device, if I go to paste, it should paste the entire text. Now, one of the most important new changes under settings is that we now get settings panels for both mail, contacts, and calendar. So they're now split up instead of being combined into one. So for example, under mail, we actually get some new features such as threading options. So we can organize by thread or not, most recent message on top or not. Personally, I prefer that. Or you can show complete threads or not. Alrighty guys, so that's going to do for me in this look at iOS 10. And what I want to know from you guys is, what is your favorite new iOS 10 feature? Please let me know in the comment section below. Now, if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up to let me know. And I'll see you again in the next video.